To money matters now, the government aims to maximize concessional borrowing for external financing while minimizing commercial borrowing as a strategy to prevent the country from sinking into a debt crisis. The National Assembly, while considering the 2024 medium-term debt management strategy, implored the National Treasury to spend within its budget to reduce the fiscal deficit. The Treasury projects a reduction in fiscal deficit for the financial year 2024-2025.
With the public debt stock standing at a historical high of 11.2 trillion shillings, members of the National Assembly debated the debt management strategy proposed by the National Treasury, while MPs allied to the government lauded the projected reduction in fiscal deficit for the financial year 2024-2025. The minority party took issue with the National Executive for continuing to borrow despite the absorption rate being low.
If the National Treasury discovers within the year that our revenues are either not performing or improving, then it is imperative that they also review the expenditure side of our budget.
Each borrowing must have a purpose that is serving and an approval.
The government aims to maximize concessional borrowing for external financing while minimizing commercial borrowing as a strategy to cushion the country from a debt crisis.
We were told that borrowing, in fact, they demonized the previous head of state, and apparently borrowing was supposedly a very bad thing. And now we are continuing to borrow. We are planning to borrow. We are setting up ourselves to borrow some more money.
The deficit has come down from 886 billion, and we have come down to around 703.9 billion shillings, which is just around 3.9% deficit to GDP ratio, and which is a very good path, Honorable Speaker, when it comes to managing our appetite to borrow.
The National Treasury estimates next year's expenditures will be 4.1 trillion shillings against a projected revenue of 3.4 trillion shillings. The legislators want the National Treasury to explain measures to reduce domestic debt service burden. The lawmakers further want the government to renegotiate and disburse external loans.
We are just paying interest on something because we went and we agreed we will borrow. But even the borrowing has not arrived in the country.
We need to seriously consider having a public debt act so that it can legislate and strictly seal any loopholes where the Public Finance Management Act does not cover.
Meanwhile, the National Assembly has expedited the consideration of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill in a bid to hasten the reconstitution of the Electoral Agency. Debate on the bill is set to commence Wednesday, following the reduction in the publication period of the proposed law. Gishuki Washira, Prime Edition.